Hello YouTubers, this is the noobifier. Winwing has just released its Super Libra gimbal and grip. It has a pretty unusual cam design, and my comments on that will be covered in the future as part of a more detailed review. Today I'm going to take you through cam and spring changes because unlike other gimbals, there are some additional steps to achieve to ensure that you get proper performance. Let's begin. As I understand it, mine is a pre-production unit with 3 sets of springs and 2 cam types. The cams are labeled S for soft center and H for hard center. Both cams behave quite linear, with more options hopefully being made available in the future. To begin, the gimbal needs to be removed from its mounting solution. Find a clean, well-lit space to work and have the included toolset close by. To gain access, you're going to need to remove the lower floor of the gimbal. Release 4 2.5mm screws that hold the floor to the gimbal frame, and release 4 2mm screws that hold the floor to the casing. Be careful to release the small wires that connect the gimbal to the circuit board. You can now release the 4 bolts that hold the top plate to the case, which are also 2mm. The springs are held in place by 4 screws per axis, but they operate as pins, not as screws. There are no threads in the cams, and these can be simply pulled out by force. With the springs removed, the cams can be released by removing the 2 2mm screws, and please pay attention to the washer. Replace the cams, but be sure that they're 2 similar cams. Replace the 2mm screws and washers and then tighten. Check for free motion. If you have significant tension on the drag clutch, back the set screw off to reduce the friction. Now, by pinching the cams by hand, you can check the basic center calibration. Each cam should just make contact with the roller, with the offset screw also in contact with the gimbal frame. Each cam has an offset screw in the arm that sets the initial alignment. There are 3 negative scenarios, which are considered out of alignment. Too much offset will cause the cam to break contact with the roller, resulting in a stick that has a poorly defined center. Too little offset will cause the center point to float around. And an imbalanced offset will force the center point away from the midpoint. To adjust this, back both set screws off and then gradually tighten one until the cam just starts to make contact with the roller. Repeat for the other side. Pinch the cams closed and test the performance. Continue to adjust this until you achieve a clean centering action that's also in the middle of the axis range. It's important to note that unlike other joysticks with a swap and forget cam design, you will not be able to achieve proper performance without paying attention to the calibration. Replace whatever combination of springs suits your needs, and then repeat the process for the other axis if required. Test after assembly, assemble in reverse order. Place the gimbal into the casing and install 4 2mm screws. Reattach the pair of wires onto the circuit board. Install 4 2.5mm screws and 4 2mm screws to secure the floor, and then reattach the gimbal to the mounting solution. A word of caution, use only the provided screws due to the risk of damage. Installing screws that are too long or mounting onto an alternate mounting solution with a thinner profile may result in the screws coming into contact with the circuit board or simply splitting it. And that's it. A little bit more complicated than normal, but still simple. After doing this a couple times, it became very easy to set quickly. Please offer feedback and comments in the space below. Please stay tuned as I will be performing a detailed review once I've had more time to test the product out and get a true appreciation for it. Fly safe!